Hey guys, today we're here to talk about a heat press. I'm doing a little instructional video for you guys to use at home for those of you that are volunteered to do heat press. Today we'll be starting out with the press. The temperature is going to be between 365 and 375 degrees. And it takes about 15-20 minutes for your press to get up to that temperature. And once it's at that temperature, if you have a scrap shirt, it's usually best to test it out on a scrap shirt to make sure that there's no funny things going out, cold spots with your press. Now today, first we're going to go with a, well, before we get started, let's cover some shirt materials that you shouldn't do. Materials like frog togs, nylon riding jackets, anything with lots of plastics in it will tend to melt. And so with those items like that, we just choose not to do them, because not only will it run the person's shirt, but it's also going to get all over the press and create a mess that you're going to have to clean up. And it usually takes, from experience, it usually takes about an hour to clean a frog tog off a press. And so items like your polyester shirts and things like that, some of them will discolor. And so the general rule of thumb is, if there's a doubt in your mind, look at the tag. If it's anything like I said for a frog tog or anything like that, even the customer's willing to try it, we know it won't work. The answer is no. But on certain things like polyesters, just let them know there's a chance it could slightly discolor the shirt for where the square of the pad makes contact with the shirt. And in those cases, if they're all right with that, then proceed. But once again, if there's any doubt in your mind that something's going to go wrong, let them know that beforehand, and so that way no one gets any surprises. No inappropriate shirts, you know, things like that are pretty common sense. You know, if it's a bar shirt, you know, I don't know different members and stuff, what places they've been, but if there's anything you think is inappropriate that the CMA outline should not be on, don't put it on there. Things like string, bikini tops, spaghetti tops, something real skimpy clothing, that's something that we usually choose not to put the outline on. Once again, just use common sense and your judgment on those things. When you get the shirt in, it will have an order slip. Depending on your event and how you're doing it, it will tell you the size of the outline, the color of the outline, and or in this case, when it comes to rhinestone, what rhinestone they want it and where they want it on the shirt. Before you start at the beginning of the day, if you have a cold pad or it's been more than 10 minutes or so since you pressed the last shirt, it's always a good idea to make sure you preheat the pad. And all you do there, you'll just clamp the pad down. Your timer is going to be about 15 seconds. That's where I keep mine set, and that's good for most materials. And when it ends, you'll hear this buzzing sound. When that happens, you can lift up. Your pad's heated and ready to go. Now with your shirt, always when you're loading it onto the press, you're going to split the shirt over the pad. And when you do that, when you bring the shirt onto the press, what you're looking to do is square up the shoulders. Every shirt's different, made a little different, but usually a good gauge of straightness on the shirt is shoulder seam to shoulder seam. So that's usually what you're looking for. So what you'll do is you'll take the shirt, you'll open it up, and on smaller shirts you may have to walk it onto the pad in a back and forth motion, but you're just getting it on there. But once you get it on there, you square it up shoulder to shoulder. And if it's a new shirt, most of the time you'll have a center crease line down the shirt, which also helps you know if you've gotten it straight. But with most of the case, you'll be doing pre-war shirts, so it's always good to tip of the pallet to shoulder seam. That lets you know you've squared it up on the frame. Now the first outline we're going to be doing is called a hot split. The transfers you receive will be marked as either hot split or cold peel. And with a hot split, like this one here, most of your outlines are all hot splits. As soon as you get done pressing it, you will immediately pull it off, and I will show you that here. And then our other items are called cold peels, and we'll get to that in a second. But with a hot split here, you'll take it, lay it on the shirt. Once again, you have the shirt squared up on the pallet. you'll find your center line here. Now for our standard large outline for the back, we do it 4 inches from the neck seam. It's lined up. We're going to press it and the timer will start going. Once again, the timer's set at 15 seconds. When that timer goes off on a hot split, you immediately raise the press and peel it off. If you let it cool for even more than 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, it'll start to try and stick to itself again. So as soon as this is done pressing and the timer goes off, we will lift it up, pull the transfer off immediately, and that's with the hot split. So we'll go ahead and press this. As soon as you click down, the timer automatically starts running. And when that timer goes off, you will pop it up, grab the transfer, peel it away, and peel it off. And make sure before you put it in the bag to return it to the customer that you check it, make sure everything's fine, and also make sure it's pretty cool to the touch, that way it doesn't stick to itself in the bag. That one turned out good. Load another shirt. Also with these shirts, if you have one, it's been in a bag or whatnot, it's been crumpled up, he had it in his motorcycle riding case, it's real wrinkled up. When you load it in there, it's okay to press it for a few seconds to iron out the wrinkles. That's not going to hurt the garment at all. The next one we're going to do is called a cold peel. And one of those is like the full color logo is a cold peel. And the difference between a cold peel and a hot split is after we're done pressing the cold peel, you put a cooling plate on there to allow it to cool before taking it off. And all the cooling plate does is just speed up the process. It's an aluminum plate. All your presses will come with one. And like I said, the transfer would cool off without it, but the difference is of having to wait a minute or two for it to cool off and having to wait 20 seconds. Like I said, the aluminum plate, all it does is speed up the cooling process. But we'll go ahead and line it up. Just like we do a hot split. Press it, you press it the exact same way as a hot split. Everything's identical except whenever you get ready to take it off. You split the hot one immediately and you allow the cold one to cool. When the buzzer goes off, you'll pop it. Place the cooling plate on the image. And it should take about 15-20 seconds. After that amount of time, you can reach down, take the plate off, and fill the transfer. It should be cool to the touch. If it's not cool to the touch, lay it back on there for another 5 seconds or so. But like I said, generally it takes 15 to 20 seconds, and it should have sucked all the heat off, and you're ready to peel it. As you can see, there it is. Turned out well. And once again, these are the same as the hot splits before you put them in a bag. Make sure they're cool to the touch before you fold them up, put them in the bag. Because if you put them in there and they're still hot, they can stick to themselves and it'll run the image. All right, the last thing we're going to go over here is a rhinestone. And the rhinestone will be pretty much like the cold peel, except how the sheets that they're on are a little different. So you load the shirt. Here's one of the rhinestones we offer. All rhinestones are applied the same way. What you're going to have is you're going to have this backing sheet, and you're going to have a clear sticky sheet that the rhinestones are actually attached to. And what you want to do is get the corner just like peeling a sticker. And you'll take that and you'll gently peel that off. This backing here, you set it to the side, throw it away. You don't need it anymore. Now with this right here, you would line it up, center it, wherever you need to put it on the shirt, and then you would let it go. Just kind of rub your hand over it, make sure it has a good, smoothly laid down the shirt, no wrinkles, it's not bunched up. This one, when we're done, we're going to treat it just like a cold peel. As soon as the timer goes off, we're going to lay it up. If you have your aluminum plate, lay your aluminum plate on it and let it start cooling. Now that it's cooled off, this may be a little trickier to peel. because it's of the sticky backing, but it'll come on off. Grab a corner of it and peel it off once again, just like a sticker. When it gets to the rhinestone part, they'll stay glued to the shirt. Once again, you have the backing. Just throw it away. The shirt's ready to be peeled off. And there you go, a Rhinestone logo. Same rules apply when you get ready to put it in the bag. Make sure it's cool to the touch before folding it up and putting it back in the bag. All right, that concludes the video on heat press. Once again, we have a copy of all these instructions in written form that if you would also like to have those, we can email it to you along with this video. And if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to tell us.